Let's start with some injury news here on Titans today. Then we'll get into some other conversations of topic. Tyjae Spears listed as day-to-day by head coach Brian Callahan. We will have to wait and see what the practice injury report looks like on Wednesday. That is not out as of filming. As a gambling man, I'd wager he is not going to at least be limited at best on Wednesday, which we'll see if he plays or not. It's early in the week after all. You do want him out there. You need to have more than just Tony Pollard, I think, be involved in terms of the ability to run the football and pass catch. I like Pollard. I want to get Spears involved. I'm glad this ankle injury doesn't appear to be that dreaded high ankle sprain. That's never a good thing. But this one certainly is worth monitoring throughout the week. We will have more videos for you here on Titans today. We are 384 subs away. That is it from 10,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button right now. YouTube.com/Titans today. Let's talk Nicholas Petit Frere, because there's a lot to get into here. After week 2, which was bad, Fantasy Life announced that MPF was joining as a fantasy football analyst, which, look, good for Nicholas. I'm sure he loves fantasy football. And we have come to a point in the sport where you can actually do that and not be banned for life. On that note, it's kind of a bad look, though, I think. At best, isn't this at least kind of a bad look for Nicholas Petit Frere with how he's played, with the gambling suspension he had last year? Right? Doesn't this raise red flags for you, at least at some level, fair or not? So what is your confidence level right now in Nicholas Petit Frere? This is the pinned comment on today's video, so if that ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. It is the pinned comment, so go take advantage of that ad plays right now on YouTube. Some red flags we've got here. Number 1, look, he hasn't played well. Especially not last week. So the timing is just like, what are we doing out there? That might not be it. Some stats from MPF, right? He was better in week 1. 1 sack, 1 hurry, 1 penalty, 61.5 run blocking grade. Got a lot worse in week 2. In fact, got outright bad in week 2. A sack, a hit, 7 hurries. Now, those are the PFF numbers. The next-gen stat numbers were even worse. But next-gen stats just does highlights of it. They don't do every single one, so we'll use Pro Football Focus. Either way, that ain't it. And oh, by the way, look, fantasy football, it's not the same as gambling necessarily. Bro, they got a gambling suspension last year. Clearly, he just likes it. His generation, my generation, many of your generation, we grew up on fantasy football. We all play it. We all enjoy it. It's fun. It is a pastime for us. Shoot, man, I don't know. If I were his agent, I'd be like, look, man, you got a gambling suspension. I don't think this is a good idea for you. This is a bad look. And this next part's very much not fair. It does imply a lack of focus. Now, I think I saw headlines of Nicholas Petit Frere takes a gambling job after getting a gambling suspension. Not true. Fantasy. It is different. I think, but the implication that is going to be assumed here of focus on your craft, blah, blah, blah. It's not fair. You know you're going to have those comments. It's not actually 24/7 football. As much as we want it to be, and I guess technically fantasy football would still qualify in that anyway, you can't actually work out 24/7. It's not how it works. You're not going to be able to truly turn your brain on and watch film 24/7. It's just not going to work that way. And look, off days, personal time. Players get those too. You get them, I get them, producer Chris Daughtry gets them, everyone gets them. You need them, actually, to an extent. But that doesn't mean you maybe want to be publicizing what you're doing in your off day. I think it comes off as a bad look, fair or not. If you're struggling, you're coming off a bad week, your team lost again, you haven't played well since being drafted out of Ohio State, and now you're adding a second job, you're not good enough at your first one to do the second one. There's a reason why only some players get criticized for having the podcast and some don't. Nobody cared when Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce did their podcast. A, it was good. B, their teams won. That's a big deal. Start to care about a podcast if you're losing a bunch of games and Micah Parsons does one every week. start to care about the rap career if you're not having great success. When you're Dame Lillard and you're already established, nobody cares. It's not necessarily fair, but it is how the world tends to work. Now, these days for me, I'm very busy. We're in a busy season. Football's underway. I don't have time to cook, and my wife doesn't either with a 3-year-old, soon-to-be 3-year-old at home. That's why I love Factor. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian-approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great-tasting meals. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. You can crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. So go to factormeals.com/TitansChat50 and use code TitansChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code TitansChat50 at factormeals.com/TitansChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. If you had a tough time following that, the URL and the promo code will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. To wrap up today's video, I want to talk about DeAndre Hopkins. And your number one receiver last year has very much so been MIA, missing in action, held in check, a non-factor through the first 2 games of the season. These stats don't lie. Now, there's been some pitch count stuff. There's been some limits coming off of the injury. If I had shown you that, I think you would have had better odds, speaking of our gambling friends, on that being 1 drive versus 2 games. And I would have said, if that's the stat line, wow, so they got him involved on the opening game script. Not, that's what we've done through 2 games. There's a lot of things you need to figure out, you need to adjust, you need to work on as you build this offense around Will Levis. This is one of them. And head coach Brian Callahan knows that too. Here's what he said. I've got to do a better job of getting him involved, better job of getting him targets. I'm getting to know him still. Obviously, in this training camp, so I'm trying to make sure that I put him in the spots that he's going to be best for, and we'll keep working through that. Ultimately, it's on me. So do you think, I think I know the answer on this one, but we'll leave it up to democracy anyway. Does Tennessee need to target DeAndre Hopkins a little bit more? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. It's a simple Y or N. Offense is still a work in progress. And I think we maybe I didn't do a job of conveying it, to borrow a phrase from Brian Callahan. That should have been expected. I don't think this shaky offensive line, you're getting pressured on 60% of your dropbacks, your time to throw ain't that high. That's not making life easier. Because I can get to my first read, which I think is normally Calvin as it should be. Can't always get to my second and third reads and that stuff. So if you want to get Nuke more involved, probably means you're going to design more stuff for him. Maybe that shot plays off of play action, which Levis does a really good job of. Maybe that's doing some more crossing routes. Maybe that's getting him involved more in maybe not bubble screens, but finding ways where he's more of the primary read on throws. And frankly, look, probably needs some patience here. You probably have to treat this as a 17-game season. Not, we have all the answers after the first month of the year. That's not an answer I think everyone wants to hear, but I do think it's where we're at. So I'm not panicking yet on Hopkins, maybe outside of fantasy purposes, but for the team, the stuff that matters to Tennessee, I'm not panicking quite yet.